Hello, welcome to the Professional Insight Podcast, Season 5, episode We Have No Bloody Idea. My name is Brandon Curry.
And I'm Jeff Collins.
Josh Bond.
And Trevor Lindy.
And we have an amazing guest with us today. The executive director of the Niagara Wine Festival, Dorian Anderson. Hi, Dorian.
Hello.
Thanks
Hi, guys.
for coming on. Thanks for having the time for us. Really
Thanks
appreciate
for
it.
making the time.
Great.
I know, it's amazing. She's very busy as she's preparing for, you just got off of Canada's largest wine festival back in September. And I think, I don't know where we stand on if it's coming up as Canada's largest ICE wine festival. I don't even know, but we'll let you get into that. And that's happening in January. Well, how about before we go, how about a little bit about yourself, your career path, what got you to where you are today, and then maybe, because our listeners are across the country, so please, like, and go into, like, definitely that, because there's a lot of people that watch that,
Across the world,
how did you
Brandon.
get, like,
across the world,
across the world. We are worldwide.
Universe.
In our own minds.
Very big in
Especially
Singapore.
Especially because of Jeff's good throat clear there right when the episode started. That was perfect.
Right when the episode started, nice good throat clear.
I'm in contest for that.
Yeah.
And then we want to know how you got into. There's people that want to know, how did you become an executive director, and then into the history of the wine festival. So go ahead.
All right, I'm happy to. And thanks to Jeff for clearing his throat just to make me feel comfortable in my first time on the show. I really appreciate it. So my history started through my university first job, actually. So I was an English major at the University of Western Ontario, which sort of seems like a bit of a strange way to get into.
Yay, Western!
Yeah.
Purple and proud.
But I started when I was there working just like a weekend and then summer job with the Mosaic Group, which is a really large experiential marketing company in Canada, across the country. And so I just sort of loved that kind of work. I loved activating brands. I loved coming up with creative ideas. And my biggest clients when I worked there were Labatt breweries. So I worked on the Labatt, remember the Out of the Blue campaign where they would whisk people off to go to bars?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, from bars.
Absolutely.
Well, I got to work on that, which was pretty awesome.
Nice.
I worked on the Kokanee Mountain Patrol campaign. So, so I got to take people whitewater rafting and stuff. And then I also worked with Budweiser. So I got to hire Bud Girls, and we did the Budweiser Big Rig that went like across the country. So
basically, when we were all in college and university and drinking at the bars, you were responsible for those promos that we were enjoying.
Living our dream, essentially.
Pretty much. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was like it was such a fun job. It was awesome. I loved every single second of it. So, so I worked there for quite a while. And then out of the blue, I was living in Niagara. I grew up in St. Catharines. And out of the blue, one of the contacts I'd made while I was working a Budweiser event called me and said, the Buffalo Sabres are looking for a Canadian sales and marketing coordinator. Are you interested? And I was a tomboy. I was always really into sports. Ironically, not hockey, but I loved everything else. But my experience working with the NFL through the Budweiser program, I think, was kind of a good fit. So yeah, I left the marketing agency and I went to work for the Canadian office of the Buffalo Sabres, which was, I grew up a Sabres fan and I still am. And if any of you love the Leafs, I have no interest in hearing about them at all.
That's like me as a habit. I don't want to hear about it either.
Oh,
hey, we can end this. Let's end the show.
You
now.
had so much potential. I saw
End
you
the
like
show.
the
Way to ruin
Raptors
it.
and Dresky.
Oh my God! I mean,
but you know what? Potential
amazing.
is what the Leafs go into every playoff with, and they never actually realize anything. So that doesn't really mean a whole lot.
Oh, Jeff, is this
okay.
Would that meme that you always send me about Habs fans apply now to
It does,
Dorian?
absolutely.
Oh, okay.
People who aren't Leaf fans like talking about Leafs more than Leaf fans do. Thank you, Dorian.
100%.
That's so
Proved us
hard
right.
to believe.
We could completely derail this entire podcast right now if you just want to start slamming on the Leafs. I'd be happy to.
I'm with you, Dorian. Let's have at her.
Oh.
Third place in the entire league, Leafs. Yeah.
What's that, first place?
Third place in the entire league.
Okay.
Okay, but please explain to me for a second how they're not first place. Like with their story and their legacy and the money and everything behind them, they have no reason to not have won a Stanley Cup.
Oh, Rookie with the picture.
Oh, Rookie. I love
Rook.
it.
Right through
Ouch.
the heart.
That
Please.
through the
more.
heart.
Rookie.
Hey,
That hurt.
I'm having way more fun than I thought on this thing.
Oh, wow, Rookie.
He had a backhand though. Sundin had a backhand to compete with.
He
the
would
others.
backhand Sabre fans.
Yeah.
Take
When
your
I
0
worked- when I
cups and get out of here.
When I worked for the Sabres, it was awesome because the Leafs never won in the arena when we were there. So it was great. So anyway, we should probably carry on. So so I worked with the Sabres until they decided when they changed ownership, they decided to close the Canadian office, and then
Terry Pagula did that?
no, it was after remember the Regas family that went
Oh,
to
yeah.
jail?
They had a cup of coffee and they owed it.
Yeah.
They owned
Yeah,
it.
so
to jail.
Tom Golisano bought the team, and he was from Rochester, so he wanted to move the resources to a satellite office there.
Were you there
So-
during the Hasek years?
Oh yeah, I met him. I spent time with him.
The
could
whole
probably-
Hasek and Nolan fiasco?
Not for the Nolan
Ooh.
years. I wasn't there for that part.
Okay.
But I have to tell you, like, he was a very interesting guy.
Did he
We
drink?
always did training camp here in St. Catharines. And part of my job was to take the players to all their community events. And what many people don't know is Dominic Hasek actually had polio as a child.
Ooh.
So
Oh.
yeah, so he was
It's an incredible story.
I know he wouldn't have been able to walk, but ended
Wow.
up physically being fine. And so the Niagara Peninsula Children's Center was a place he always insisted on visiting. And he would get like right on the floor and play like hockey with the kids. And he was
No
amazing
way.
there. Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway,
That's
Should have
awesome.
had a cup. He should have won a cup for Buffalo.
He deserved it.
They got
He
screwed.
deserved it. He
Yeah,
deserved it.
he was
got
definitely one of the best goaltenders in the league at the time.
maybe ever.
Ever.
Okay, so back to the
Wow.
business side of things.
Well, that's Matt Murray's the best goalie ever.
Come on.
Not Felix Potvin.
He's the only goalie in the history of the NHL to win 2 Stanley Cups as a rookie.
All right. But where is he now?
Gonna win a 3rd Stanley Cup.
Okay.
Not a rookie anymore.
All right.
All right.
You
Okay,
gotta
Dorian,
explain
well,
the
anyways.
statistic now.
You started
How
it, Dorian. You
You
started
gotta
it.
explain the statistic. How did he win 2 cups in one as a rookie?
Do you really
Because his
want
Yeah.
first year when he won it, he didn't play enough games to be considered a rookie, and he took over for Marc-Andre Fleury. And then
Right.
the next year was his official rookie year.
Did they still give
So
him
as a rookie, he can't. Oh yeah, he got a ring for both, but he's considered the only goalie to win 2 cups as a rookie,
Oh, good stat.
as
Interesting.
now a Toronto Maple Leaf.
Well,
Okay.
I like the first part of that story. Okay. So then, yes, so they closed down the Sabres office. It's kind of a long story. I hope you gave me enough time. Then
Oh,
I,
yeah. You're good.
through the same contacts I'd met through Budweiser, I got hired to work the World Cycling Championships in Hamilton, where I met and worked for the now Minister of Tourism, Neil Lumsden. And so we worked together on that project, and then he left and started a sport marketing agency, and I worked with him there, where we started the Canadian National Pond Hockey Championships up in Huntsville. Yeah, kind of awesome. So we started that
That's
and ran
really
that
awesome.
together for 6 years. Did any of you guys play in it?
Nope. But I
No,
played a lot
but
of pond
definitely-
hockey.
Definitely a lot of pond hockey and definitely followed it for sure. That's
Yeah,
a
it
big
was
tournament.
It was awesome. It was super fun. And
We
then
grew
it
up
just
doing
got,
that in Timmins, right? So
pardon me?
I said I'm from Timmins, so we grew up doing that.
Yeah, right. And well, I think a lot of people did. And then we took that across the country. We did events in Winnipeg. We did events out in BC. And then basically I got to the point where I was like, I think I need to have kids. So I looked for something a little closer to home and started working in with actually the Niagara Benchlands area, running a wine marathon for them. And that kind of is what brought me back home and got me into the wine game. I mean, I've been researching wine on my own. It's pretty
As we all do.
enthusiastically for quite some time.
Yeah, I mean,
Connoisseur,
That's a nice way of putting it, sure.
right?
And so, yeah, so I started working as a consultant with the Niagara Benchlands Group, and then sort of just kind of kept collecting wine events along the way. Graze the Bench is another amazing one. And then the International Cool Climate Chardonnay celebration started, and it was really one of the first wine events that put Niagara on an international map. So some of the best Chardonnay producers from around the world would come every single year to Niagara, and we'd have this weekend in July, and it was like extraordinarily successful from a media and marketing perspective, but also gave consumers a great event. And then, after that, I was there for 8 years. And then Kimberly Huntermark, who was the executive director of the Niagara Grape and Wine Festival, moved to BC. So they were searching for someone new, and a few people recommended that I look into it. And now here I am.
And how long have you been in this role?
Since 2017.
Okay.
Yeah. So 2017, at the end of the fall festival, or the big festival, I started. So I had a 2018 and 19, and then COVID. So it was just
Yay!
yeah.
Yeah,
So
but to be fair, how was 2022?
Oh, 2022 was awesome. Like we only did, I mean, obviously we're shut down for most of COVID, and then we did little bits of programming just to sort of keep the wineries to as much volume and traffic as we could get to the wineries going, because that's part of our job, is to really promote the industry and help our partners succeed. But we came back to Montebello Park, which is the main hub of the Grape and Wine Festival this year, and it was the busiest year we've ever had.
Some new technologies introduced this year. How did you find that?
It was amazing, actually. It was. It's funny. We have been thinking about going like with a tap payment format. So we used to use like the metal tokens, and we've been thinking about going to this payment system for quite some time. But we're really concerned. Niagara Grape and Wine, for those of you that don't know, is kind of like bred into people that live in Niagara. Like you grow up and you just know about it. You know, from the time you're a small child, you're sitting on the curb for the Grand Parade. When you are a teenager, pardon me?
Especially St. Catharines, people just love Niagara.
Well, it's what, 71 years now, going on
It
to
is.
the 71st year, right? So.
Yep. Yeah, so it's been around forever. So we were just concerned that, you know, some of these longtime fans would have a really hard time transitioning away from tokens, because, you know, there's traditions.
It's part of the experience, right?
And it's part of the experience, yeah.
Everyone remembers lining up for tokens. Everyone remembers.
Not necessarily a good experience, right?
No, it was never a good experience. So
Exactly.
before we continue, as we start getting into our funny stories, and we have a ton of people that listen to us nationally and a little bit internationally as well. There's a ton of expats from Niagara all over. So if you're watching us right now and you have a funny story, you've been to the Niagara Grape and Wine in September, maybe you came here for university or college and then you came and you went back, or have you ever experienced it? Drop us in the comments. We'd love to hear it, because we all remember it. Literally, it's the only thing that I can even think about is it's the only time in Niagara where literally the police literally look at everyone lining the streets for the parade, and they just go, "You've got wine in your never mind, just whatever." And like the whole downtown is just one giant.
Everyone's got red teeth. Everyone's got red teeth.
White. Everyone is just freaking from 10 o'clock in the morning, right straight through. It's one hell of a party. So Dorian, let's give a little bit of history on that, and then explain what the fall festival is, and then we'll get into the ICE WINE GALA.
Sure. Yeah. So as you mentioned, the festival is in its 72nd year, I believe. Was entering its 72nd year. So yeah, so the big parade that Brandon was just talking about is sort of snakes through downtown St. Catharines. We have about 50,000 people that line the streets that morning to see the Grand Parade, and we've got about 100 different acts. We have, you know, everything from a high school, you know, drum corps to professional musicians that travel all around the world, and dancers, and it's like amazing. It's a, you know, kind of like everything with the Niagara Grape and Wine Festival. It's a beautiful combination of local community talent and culture, and like blow your mind, awesome fun. So we're adding a lot.
Closing float back. Did I hear like was it this past year or?
So yeah, interestingly, we were so way back in the day, which when I was growing up, I have to now say way back in the day. We
A few moons ago.
a few moons ago. Yeah, so it was our partner city in our sister city in Trinidad and Tobago that always would end the parade. And they had this big, beautiful float, kind of like a caravana sort of theme. And then that just kind of went away over the years before I got here. I'm assuming just maybe the community just couldn't do it anymore. But there's an amazing woman named Natasha Bell who is part of an organization called Black Owned 905, and she spearheaded to bring it back this year for the first time. So they did a great job with it. Yeah, it wasn't the huge grand float that was highly decorated as it used to be in the 70s, but I understand her goal is to get it back to that point. So yeah, that's pretty awesome that she's working on that.
It's one of those, I don't know much of the history because I'm a northern kid, but it gives you goosebumps a little bit, right? Because it's something that's coming back from the past. So that I understand a lot of people really enjoy.
Yeah.
Nostalgia is the best.
Nostalgia is the best. And yeah, so there's that. And then other than that, the fall festival. So basically we have about 125,000 people that come through Niagara for the festival every fall. Montebello Park, which is this beautiful park in downtown St. Catharines, was also designed by the same person that designed Central Park in New York City. Little fun fact for you.
That's a fun fact for sure.
Fun little fact.
And so we animate the park for 2 weekends, and we have about 20 to 25 wineries from across Niagara that, come and pour. So you can sample up to 110 wines we had this year available to try. And this year we launched a cocktail lounge for the first time. So all the cocktails had VQA wine as a component. And they were incredibly popular. They were delicious. The Montebello Sour was by far the best selling thing in the park.
So good. So good.
Yeah, Brandon, you tried a couple, right?
He tried all 110.
Yeah.
All I remember from we rented the cabana this is the first year for the cabana because you guys did a really great job in opening up the park this year. So it seemed like it wasn't as busy, but we obviously attendance was through the roof. But because you utilized, I thought you and your team really did a really great job at organizing the park because there's a ton of places for kids to go. So there's bouncy castles and stuff like that. So it didn't really seem that busy, but there was a cabana that we rented. And all I remember is I got an Uber home and I got woken up on the couch at around 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. But we started at midday. So
you got all 110 tastes.
Those cocktails were good.
Well, I can tell you, Brandon, in case you forgot, you were engaged in a very long and competitive game of hacky sack for quite some time.
Was I?
You were in front of the cabanas.
All right. Well, when in the park and there's a hacky sack.
Why not?
I don't remember.
One must hack, right?
One
must hack with a hacky sack.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was a great return for sure. And we were a little concerned that people would be nervous being in large crowds, which is part of the reason we opened the park up the way we did. But people came back, celebrating and ready to have something that, they can connect to and, brings back those nostalgic good time feelings. So yeah, it was awesome. It was great.
Were you involved with the City in Color concert at Montebello this summer?
No, I wasn't actually. That was run by a group within the city of St. Catharines itself.
Yeah, that was 4 days and it was packed.
It was banging, yeah.
Nobody was worried about COVID at all. Nobody.
Well, in a way, I was a little glad that was first because it kind of gave us a sense that okay, we can go full steam ahead.
Oh yeah, people were I'm confident. I'm partying.
But there is other festivities, I think.
Yes.
There was this year, or that at least stretched it for the full month.
There was, yeah. We launched a new program called Grape and Wine Month this year. And the whole point of that was to try to get the rest of Niagara kind of helping them rebound a little bit from COVID. So that's part of our job as a festival. It's not just to throw great events, as much as we like to do that. But we also feel like we're kind of a hub for the hospitality and tourism industry as well. So we wanted to create a program where local restaurants and little shops and, really anyone that can connect to the theme of grape and wine could create events that we would co-market with them. So, for example, there's an amazing new wine shop that opened up in downtown St. Catharines called Archives, and they have a lot of virtual wine brands and like they're not say less popular, but lesser known wines. So they launched a whole month-long program of tasting. So yeah, we got to promote that small business, and some restaurants did special menus, and yeah. So we're going to be doing that every year from now on. That the whole month of September we'll have grape and wine events every single day.
Pairings, we'll say, right?
Pairings, yes, nice.
Yeah, it was so.
Josh
awesome.
wants credit for that one.
So yeah. I got an
He's already got the
I got an
trademark
idea
in
we
the
can
works.
take offline. Dorian, I got an idea we can take offline. You just kind of jogged my memory, and I just kind of thought of something. But we'll talk about it offline, just for next September.
He's stealing your
Very
idea,
similar to what-
Bond. He's stealing your
No,
idea.
Bondo kind of triggered it. It was good.
That's okay.
No, Brandon's got lots of ideas. It's awesome.
He
Yeah, I
does.
just throw stuff to a wall and hope it sticks. So
What's the stuff
what
that
are we
you're throwing to the wall?
Wow, all the good stuff.
You don't want to know.
Grape skins. Grape skins.
There you go.
So what are we doing with okay, so then but there's also the Discovery Pass, which you do, right? And that's run 3 times a year?
Yes, 3 times a year. And it always sort of
You wanna explain
surrounds signature events. Yeah. So the
Okay.
Discovery Pass, just for
And-
those that haven't done it before, again, we work with winery partners. So this is like a self-guided winery passport program. So each of the wineries comes up with a seasonal pairing, Josh, of food and wine that's seasonal. So, you know, in the fall, it's like bigger red wines or like richer white wines with sort of like cozy fall type foods, or whatever sort of in harvest in that season. And guests, they buy a pass, they get 6 of these experiences. They usually can choose from over 20 different wineries. They just sort of scan the menu, pick the places they'd like to visit, and then they just go visiting wineries, and they get to have this special little experience with this, you know, curated pairing. And then the hope is that they like the wine, or they want to have other wines as well, and they grab some Niagara VQA wine before they head out.
It's really a unique industry, right? Because it's not often where you see so many different people marketing together.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
because
true.
really that's a lot of time, you know, at least partially what they're doing,
For the
right?
greater good.
Yeah, for the greater good. I think also too, because you know the impact the industry has on tourism is so significant. It's become not just a product; it's a reason people come to the region. So, you know, groups like ours that come up with these multi-venue programs, part of that is to really tie into that tourism community for sure.
No, it's fabulous. It's phenomenal, fabulous and phenomenal.
Now-
I don't know what the hell you smash them together and you get.
I've so now then you've got now you didn't run the Harvest Festival this year, right? No, not the Harvest Festival, the
Homegrown,
homegrown
correct.
festival this year. And so but that's coming out in the summertime.
That's in
The
June.
homegrown
Yes.
and but what we're planning right now, or what you're planning right now, is the ICE Wine Gala, which we should announce. Got the green light, boys. Got the green light. Crier Media, right, Dorian? Are the whole network, and there'll be other people on board. We're promoting it. We're going to be promoting it for the ICE Wine Gala. So you want to give people some information about the ICE Wine Gala and where it's being held, and it's definitely a formal event, which is amazing. But go ahead.
Well, I'm really excited to talk about this. So, the Ice Wine Gala is the kickoff to the Ice Wine Festival every year. The Ice Wine Festival is 3 weeks in January, always the last 3 weeks of January. And again, kind of like we talked about with Grape and Wine Month, there's events all across Niagara. The wineries do special events. We do a Discovery Pass, that self-guided tour. And the gala has always been a formal kickoff event that sort of gets everybody ready for it. This year, I'm so excited because we're changing the venue, and we are going to be hosting it at the Niagara Parks Power Station. So, if you are
All right,
near,
so a little bit.
That's just
If Rookie, if you
redone.
can put up your URL or the the guide, the picture of whatever it is, for
You
the
sound
power
like
station.
me.
But you want to tell
Sundin.
people,
You're starting to sound like me.
Sundin with the golf
yeah,
bag,
yeah,
right?
yeah, not the Sundin one, not the Sundin. Jeff and I are still hurting from that. We're just still
No,
hurting.
I'm not hurting at all. Not hurting at all.
What is so the power station?
So the
So
power
give the
station.
history. Yeah,
Yeah,
give
the
give
power
the
station's
history.
incredible. If anyone's driven driven along the parkway, they'll
Mhm.
sort of see right at the top of the Horseshoe Falls this beautiful old stone building that looks like a canal in front of it, and it's been sitting abandoned for years. And that's the Niagara Parks Power Station. So the Niagara Parks Commission, I think it was a few years ago anyway, received a $25 million loan from the province to renovate this into an attraction. So they have done an incredible job. It opened 2 years ago. So you literally walk into what looks like a moment in time. They still have all the old generators and gaskets. They've even got old, fire extinguishers. It's almost like when they closed the power station, people just got up from their desks and walked out.
That's
So
awesome.
it's incredible. It's been beautifully preserved. So part of the whole experience for the guests at the gala is they get to go into this museum, which is this gigantic, vast, incredible space.
Wicked.
It's,
That'll be
it's
wicked.
oh, but that's not even it. It gets so much better. So they have this
Tell us.
really cool light show called Currents, and it's a light and sound 100% like 360 immersive light experience that essentially tells the story of oh, there we go, that's what it looks like. Now of course we're going to add some bells and
Good
whistles
job,
to it,
rookie.
for sure.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah. But yeah, so and then you can
Gorgeous.
imagine they have this incredible light show that goes floor to ceiling and around everything, and it's themed around the movement of water through the power station, but also sort of tells a bit of a story. So you're standing in this incredible venue with these lights swirling around you and music and sound. So that's going to be part of the experience as well for guests. The first hour we're going to have that show running. And then the final, the cherry on top is, if you haven't already heard of the tunnel,
The pièce de résistance.
the pièce de résistance. So there is 180-foot or an elevator that goes down 180 feet. And it's a glass elevator. So as you go down, you can see all the workings of all the turbines. And I'm like, it looks like the best place to film a horror movie ever. You get to the bottom and you walk out into a tunnel where the water from the turbines actually used to flow. And it's the original tunnel. All the bricks in it are the original 5.5 million handmade bricks that
Beautiful.
God.
create it.
Wicked.
And it's about a kilometer walk, close to a kilometer to walk. And then you walk out and you end out on this beautiful observation deck. And if you turn to the right from what you're seeing in that photo, the
Yeah.
Horseshoe Falls almost look like you could touch them.
Because that's the American Falls there that we're looking at, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's just like, it's the kind of experience, even if you've grown up in Niagara and you've been to the falls 1,000 times, you've never seen it like this before.
No,
guess
you
not.
just can't get that close.
You can't.
You can't.
And even the
You
walk
can't.
down the tunnel is incredible, because you realize it's 28 feet tall, I think. And you realize this was hand dug by people. It took 4 years to build this tunnel. And you can kind of feel like the history as you're walking through it. It's just awesome. So yeah, so guests at the gala get to do that. They don't, that's all included in their ticket.
That's wicked.
I
That'll be a
know.
wicked experience.
Yeah. Oh, and then we have to talk about the wine. I mean, obviously that's part of it. We have about 20 different wineries that'll be pouring premium VQA ice wine, some sparkling wines, and some other sort of specialty wines. And then we've got awesome chefs lined up. Niagara Parks is going to be hosting some of the food. Dispatch Restaurant in St. Catharines, which was named one of the top 100 restaurants. And then Bolite is another incredible restaurant.
Yeah.
Moksha. So we've really tried to pair
Nice.
the food around the flavors of ice wine. So yeah, it's going to be awesome.
And now, isn't the area renowned internationally for our ice wines?
Yes, it is actually. We are one of the only countries that makes ice wine. So Germany makes ice wine, but their production is less than ours in Canada. We're the largest ice wine producing country in the world, and export is a huge part of what we do for sure. some of our, some of the larger wineries, a significant amount of their business goes to exporting ice wine. But yeah, most of the wineries in the region, well over half, do make ice wine at some level, or a late harvest sort of wine. Yeah. Have you tried it before?
Yes.
Yeah, I know Brandon's tried it, but
are they predicting a good harvest this winter too?
Well, it's interesting. It all depends on Mother Nature, right? So the way that ice wine is, what sort of makes it special is the grapes have to get to -8 degrees, and they have to stay there. I think, Brandon, what is it? A minimum of 12 hours, I think they have to be at -8.
Yeah.
But they also have to harvest them when it's -8. So it's
At
not just a
night.
matter of the grapes hitting that temperature. The farmers actually have to go out when it's -8 or colder and
They do it
harvest
at
all the
night.
grapes.
They do it
I
at
know.
night usually to keep that's crazy.
Yeah, when I worked for Andrew Peller Limited 20 years ago, part of the experience of being an employee there, especially working at Cellar Door, was one year we got a section of their block as the store to hand pick, because you can't machine pick it because you'll too much heat and the grapes will get ruined. So you have to hand pick. So there you are, literally at 2:00 in the morning, the coldest part of the day, to ensure that it's -8 and that you're basically picking ice cubes, freezing your butt off. And that's why when people like when I say to people, they're like, "Oh, it's only 375 ml bottle and it's like $90." I'm like, "Yeah, if you knew the labor that went in to making this, it's incredible." And a lot of the grapes too, you can only hand press them because again, a balloon press, which is very standard for your red and whites, they can just destroy them. So it's such a great, very intricate process to make ice wine.
Well, and it's like squishing a frozen berry as opposed to a fresh berry. Like the concentration and the amount of juice you get is like so minuscule. So, and I mean, I'm a bit of an ice wine convert. Like I like generally dry wine. So for me, ice wine was never really something I was that excited about or that interested in. But once I kind of came into this world a little bit more, I started thinking about, they talk about often that ice wine's not just for dessert and it's not just a sweet wine, but it does really well with savory and spicy food. So I was like, well, I'm a foodie. I'm going to give it a whirl. And honestly, like curries and Indian food with ice wine is unbelievable.
Really,
like, oh my God. Super spicy food, like sort of any Asian
like a good
food
butter chicken or something?
Yeah, for sure.
Really,
Or like Korean fried chicken or like or anything that's got some great spice and like or like a really unctuous savory like foie gras. I mean, I don't like it, or pate. Those things with ice wine are amazing. So it's kind of it can really stand up to some big flavors, wouldn't you say, Brandon?
100%. Yeah, no, it just this, and the beauty also of ice wine too is because of the high sugar content. It lasts forever on its side. I've had some amazing German ice wines from like the 1950s and 1960s. I believe, if I recall correctly. Yeah, well, they can. They have Gewürztraminer ice wines. Mainly Riesling is the ones that I've tried. And like they last forever. They last for a very long time on its side. So it's and that sweetness just cuts right through the spice. So it's perfect.
Yeah.
I remember way back when I was 19, I worked at Hillebrand Winery, and the one guy that trained me said, when you get here first thing in the morning, pour yourself a glass of sparkling wine and take a shot of ice wine and pour it in that, and that's your coffee for the day. But he didn't tell me every hour you had to have another one to keep it going, right? So that, and then ice wine on vanilla ice cream. I've tried that before.
Just so good.
Dessert.
I actually just had somebody text me to say that. Somebody just texted me saying ice wine and ice cream is the best.
Yeah. The vanilla ice cream, right? Because it was nice.
Yeah, but even like sorry, Brandon, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, the Cabernet Franc ice wine is sex in a bottle. Like it is so bloody, so it is expensive. Oh my God. It is literally like alcoholic, but great alcoholic, like grape jam, like just all over oh my God, it's so good.
I was just going to say, like, when I think about like, and even cooking, like one of my favorite things that I make at Christmas is like tourtière, which is like the Quebec meat pie. But I always incorporate ice wine into it because whenever they're like talking about, deglazing a pan or something and using wine, you know, if you've got super, super rich flavors, ice wine can go in there and add that little bit of sweet and can also like, you know, just add this like really unctuous flavor to food. So yeah, so I do that or mix it into soups and stuff sometimes. But to your other point too about the sparkling wine and ice wine cocktails is a huge thing. So we work a lot
so good.
with VQA Wines of Ontario, and so they have a whole recipe section on ice wine cocktails. So we're going to have a cocktail bar, actually two of them set up within the gala where we're going to be featuring some ice wine cocktails as well. So
Ice wine martini.
absolutely, the ice wine martini. We're actually going to give an ice wine martini to every guest as they arrive. So they're going to get that to sort of kick off their night. So.
Bring a DD.
So so Carrie Pahowski. Hi Carrie, thanks for texting. She said French vanilla ice cream with ice wine. Obviously, that is like 100%. And Carrie, if you've ever been down in Niagara or you live in Niagara or you got a Niagara story, type it. We'd love to hear it. That'd be amazing. Well, Dorian would love to hear it. Okay, but when's the date, Dorian, for this event? And it's all inclusive. Obviously, all your food, like you don't go into your wallet again.
You
The
do
tours,
not.
everything. So
Yeah.
where is it?
So it's Saturday, January 14th from 7 o'clock till 11 o'clock. Yeah, and as you mentioned, in Niagara Falls at the Niagara Parks Power Station. Tickets are on sale now at NiagaraWineFestival.com or GrapeandWineFestival.com. They're $225, but as Brandon said, everything's included. So it includes your parking, it includes all your food and all your beverage for the night, as well as the amazing sides and elements that are part of that venue. So
that's a great price point.
And we're gonna have lots of cool and exciting things for you to do while you're there too.
Does it include
So, and anyone
Uber
that watches
and bail?
the Uber.
You have to pay extra for WeDrive.
That you do, but we also are going to be having some really good hotel partners too. So we're getting deals from hotels in the area, and most of them have shuttles. So come and make a weekend of it. It's going to be really fun.
It's going to be so much fun. And then if you have never seen the falls that close, it's so beautiful. And then obviously fireworks, which happens 8 o'clock, I think every Friday and Saturday, I believe.
Yep.
So you'll be on the deck, watching the falls, and you'll be able to see the live fireworks display right at the base of the falls, looking up. It's going to be, that's Rookie. Look at that, buddy. Yeah. Look, you're amazing, man. That's it. Like that's with the railings and everything. That's going to be amazing. So you'll be able to see the fireworks display right over the horseshoes. So the horseshoes like right on the right there. Yeah. So
this reminds me actually, what 2007, I actually proposed to my wife at midnight on Christmas Eve, right above there. That's where I did it.
Oh, that's pretty nice.
Not there, but she's from Taiwan, so everybody overseas thinks that all of Canada is Niagara Falls generally.
Well, the most important part of Canada anyways.
Well, they think Vancouver, Niagara Falls is like a 10-minute drive.
Yeah.
Right.
That's where I proposed.
Nice.
That's awesome.
I did that. She listens, so I get some good.
Anyone that
yes,
and we know she listens because she was chirping you the last time that we were on.
She chirping me?
Chirping you really good.
Chirping me?
Oh yeah. No, she was chirping Trev.
Yeah.
Trev, but the lightsaber. That was hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, he's got it there.
So here he is. There it is, the lightsaber. Anyone that watches, keep watching the channel for Crier and your favorite, Dean and anyone that's on the network will be promoting it. So,
but
definitely
sorry, is there a website that was mentioned that we can run across the ticker?
Yeah, I gave it to Rookie. Rookie would be the Niagara Wine Festival.
That's the perfect gift for
Wine Festival one
for her husband and wife for Christmas, eh?
That's a nice event.
Tickets to that, eh?
It makes a great gift.
See, my wife said she wants experiences, so that's nice.
How many golf? There it is. How many golf tournaments we go to, right? And how much you pay for a golf tournament relative to, the experience. So
that's actually a really good point. Actually, Bondo, that's a really good point. When you think about it, because golf tournaments, you can be gone for 6-7 hours because of the golf is at least 4. Well, no, in a tournament, 5.5, 6 hours.
Yeah.
And not always can you get anything inclusive on the golf course. Not necessarily.
Yeah.
right?
Where do you get that
Here, you're
experience in
paying-
a power station anywhere else? You know, like that's history right there.
I heard it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it is.
I've never
been
been.
through
I'm
it.
so looking
Oh.
forward to it.
I went last week and did like a full tour and did the tunnel and everything, and like it completely blew my mind. Yeah. And I mean, and the other thing that's kind of fun too is getting a chance to like dress up again. So, you know, we call it wine country formal, which gives it a lot of latitude. So people that want to wear tuxes and like get fully like ball gowned out, knock yourselves out. It's awesome. But you know, my whole thing is dress however you feel you look the best. So if that's in like with like a mohawk, go nuts, man. Like whatever's going to make you feel like you look amazing. That's how we want people to come and dress for sure.
Well, that should be everyday life, right? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, Adidas tracksuit.
Well, no. Adidas tracksuits clearing tables, so careful.
With a pair
I
of
feel the best. I feel confident.
Converse Chuck Taylors on.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I would say the event, you could definitely wear a tux and you'll not feel out of place at all. I've been a couple years when it's been at other areas, obviously pre-pandemic, and definitely,
Some Jack Nash shirts, huh?
Well, it is
about
a
a hoodie and
gala,
board
right?
shorts?
It is a gala. We gotta
Hoodie and
it's a
board
gala.
shorts, no?
It's a gala.
so we gotta.
Hoodie and board shorts, no, but hoodie and like sport jacket, you know, could probably pass.
That's
as long
coming.
as you're like well groomed, you know.
Yeah.
Board
Jack
shorts
Nash
might be a
shirt
little
and
cold.
Speedo.
Well, and speaking of cold, like we do have to remember this is a you know, a very, very old, historic, enormously vast building. So it's not going to be like toasty warm. It's going to be, I would say, we're, you know, coolish. So I would say in like the low 70s, something like that. So we are, as I mentioned, we're going to have a coat check and a boot check. So if people want to go down to visit the tunnel and go out on the observation deck, it really doesn't apply much to you guys, but you know, any women that are wearing like awesome heels or stilettos aren't going to want to walk a kilometer and stand in the cold in those shoes. So we're going to have an opportunity for them to like swap back into their boots, put their coats on, go down and like have that experience and come back. So we're really thinking about the footwear side of things first.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you forget we're talking to Leafs fans here, the three of them? So maybe they do have to change their footwear. Just saying.
You know,
here we go. Here we go.
Yeah, those fancy boys.
Is it muggy down there? Like, is it damp and muggy when you're in there? Or is it comfortable?
Well, so apparently because it's so low in the ground, 180 feet down, it's always 60 degrees in the tunnel, always, all year round. So there's a little bit of like residual, like moisture and stuff on the walls, not a whole ton though, but I would say, yeah, it would probably feels damp. And then right where the tunnel part is that we saw those photos of, there's a glass door that actually seals that off. So that keeps the tunnel pretty regulated. And then whatever happens once you're out on that, you know, that's just subject to the weather. So
is it
so
like you're claustrophobic down there or what?
No, it's surprisingly huge. It's like 28 feet tall and 18 feet wide.
So you'd be able to fit a Euclid in there.
You fit the Titanic in there.
Yeah.
A Uke's a big truck that moves rock up in a mine.
Oh, but they did this all by hand. Can you believe that?
That's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, no, you don't feel claustrophobic at all. And it's like lit, sort of like ambient lit. It kind of feels like you're in an ancient tunnel, like you are. So yeah, it's an awesome place to take photos. And yeah, it's great. It's amazing.
Good photo op. That's a good idea.
There's going to be photo ops all over this place. Like I have a hard time believing people will ever have their cameras off.
I just don't see how. I'm really, really excited. When I found out that location was being considered, I was pretty pumped because I've been dying to try to get there when they opened it up, because it kind of opened up right as the world was opening up from from COVID. And so to have that, to have our event, you know, that ICE Wine Gala event at the power stations, just absolutely amazing. So I'm pretty pumped. I'm pretty excited. I will be there. I will be in attendance 100%. Can't wait. Looking forward to it. And also a bunch of the personalities on the Crier Media Network will also be in attendance, which you got to look out for that coming down the pipeline, and watch their shows and interact with them or do whatever they do to give you.
Yeah, I think the nice thing is that even if you don't drink wine, it's a good experience. Like my wife doesn't really drink at all, right? But it seems like it'd be a good
Well,
night,
yeah.
regardless, because the food and the
Yeah.
Oh, the
experience.
food
and
is unfreaking real. It
Yeah.
is unbloody real. It's so good. It's so
And
good.
we
All the
actually-
top chefs from Niagara.
Yeah, and my husband doesn't drink either, so we you know, I've become a much more considerate person for our friends that don't drink much. So we also every cocktail bar is going to have a mocktail section as well. So we're going to have like 3 or 4 non-alcoholic cocktails at each of the bars. So for, you know, people that are the responsible drivers or those that just don't like to drink wine, there's going to be something really fun for them too.
Isn't it great having a spouse that doesn't drink? It's fabulous.
Oh, his name is Drew, so my family calls him the Droober.
Droober.
The Droober.
Droober.
Yeah. So he's always, so if I'm going out, he's like, "So is the Droober on call tonight?" And I'm like, "Not yet, but don't rule it
Stay
out."
tuned.
Yeah.
No,
That
that's
is
wicked.
amazing. So, and obviously tickets are on sale at the website that we just put across below which will be amazing. Any questions, please reach out. Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. I'm really pumped. I'm really excited. In the calendar, sign, seal, deliver. Actually, our whole office is going.
Oh, that's
And
good.
our regional office, the district director for Sun Life is also taking, I think, to 26 people, 20
Mhm.
people, something like
Yeah.
that. So he's taking it and he's coming down too. This will be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's
This
going
will
to
be
be
a lot of
amazing.
fun.
Yeah, and as I mentioned before, like we are working with hotel partners. The Discovery Pass happens starting that weekend. So for people that kind of, you know, want to get away right after Christmas, or like as you said, as a Christmas gift, kind of to say, okay, Christmas crazy is over. Let's just go away for a weekend and like, you know, just chill out after the holidays. The Discovery Pass actually is going to be like half price for anyone that goes to the gala. And so you can throughout that entire weekend, you go to pick your 6 wineries you want to visit. You can tour around at your leisure. All the wineries are doing cool stuff to keep winter alive and, you know, and fun in wine country. So yeah, it's there's going to be very easy to fill a fun weekend for sure.
How does the food work? Is it like seated tables kind of thing? Is it
No.
like you're just gonna walk around and you get to pick stuff up kind of?
Food
Yeah,
stations.
so it's a
Yeah.
combination of food stations and past hors d'oeuvres.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
And then
we'll be
of
full.
course,
We'll be full, right?
oh,
be
you
full.
will. Yeah. And then we also have like live music and we have a DJ coming. So we're going to like have the light show going and have the DJ. So, you know, people can get their groove on if they're into that. And we've got
Get their
some.
funk on.
Did any Maple
fun.
Leafs buy tickets?
Can the Maple Leafs buy tickets?
Did any Maple Leafs buy tickets?
Not yet, because they have a surcharge.
Oh, wow.
They do.
Oh,
I was
wow.
just about to buy a ticket, just about until that last comment.
Yeah.
Right. Sure you were. Sure you were.
Check. I mean, personally, you've got an interesting story. You know, just the way you've introduced yourself. So
Just
apart
bad taste
apart
in
from
sports
the,
teams.
yeah, well, I mean, apart from the gala, I mean, you know, you've got, you know, enough stories that I think that you probably can write yourself a book there.
And all those stories come out when she's got Weiner, right? You get the real stories.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
The
that's why I
sales
don't-
pitch.
That's why I don't
the
drink
sales
at these events. I'm
Yeah.
very-
Yeah, exactly, right?
yeah.
But
Yeah, no, it's
I'll make
pretty
sure I bring
funny.
a
I mean-
hacky sack.
It's my sister
Don't
always
remember.
jokes that I should actually well no, the hacky sack had to come out. Yeah, but my sister always jokes that, you know, I should have when I was single, I should have put on my profile, worked for, you know, a national beer company, hired Bud girls, worked for an NHL team, started a
That's
pond
all
hockey
you had to
tournament.
say was Bud Girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? But
What
then
day
they'd
is
expect
this?
me to be
What
one.
day is it?
The
January
gala?
17th? Yeah.
The 14th, January 14th.
Gotta make sure the Leafs aren't playing.
Yeah, we'll get you a screen that you can go down in the cold basement.
It's
and
a
watch.
Saturday. They would be playing. No.
Now, Jeff, you've
Oh my
got
God.
a like you're.
Toronto versus
Dorian-
Boston.
Oh boy.
First place in the
Will be
NHL
good.
on the line.
Um,
Can you get the game playing there in the bottom of the power station so we can watch?
Here's what I want to know. With that
There you
amount
go.
of
That's
love
pretty
for
good.
this team
Yeah.
and all of
Loyalty.
their resources,
Loyalty.
whatever.
Very
Trevor just leaned right in right now. He just leaned right in.
So,
He is.
but here's my
ready
He's
to
question.
looking
ear to
for
ear.
any kind of way he can win an argument. He can't.
The love and loyalty of the Leafs fans,
They don't love
the,
us back.
the love and loyalty of every young boy that grows up, most young kids that grow up playing hockey, dreaming of being one of the Toronto Maple Leafs. and the resources they have, how can they not win a cup? How is it possible to, honestly, like you would
They've actually won the second most cups in the history of the NHL, so they have won cups.
No, since 1967. Since any of us have been alive, have they won a cup?
How many has Buffalo Sabres won?
Okay.
Can you even
Does
find
Buffalo
one of their
have
last
any
parade?
of
Oh,
the
there we go.
resources? I
That's the
don't
last
think so.
parade.
Yeah, it looks good.
That's the last parade. It looks great.
And there is a
Yeah.
cup there.
I just think
Look
that
at all those hydro lines still above ground.
Is that Young Street?
Now, rookie.
They've been buried now.
Rookie. If, 1 second, guys. Just rookie for just I want to say, can you pull up the picture of the last time the Sabres had their Stanley Cup parade? Can you?
Yeah, there it is. There it is. It's right there. It looks
Yeah,
Oh, there it is. It's right there.
Yeah, it
It's
looks
just-
great.
Oh, there it is. Oh yeah.
okay, but let's just
Above
understand.
Montreal.
The Sabres haven't even been in the NHL as long as the drought for the Leafs. Cup has been.
1970. Yes, you're right.
So we could fight about this all day. I am happy
All
to go
day.
toe to toe with you
All
boys.
day. I'm a
Believe
diehard
me.
Leafs fan. So if
All
there's
that
any
matters
Leafs-
is who won the last cup, and so talk to us in July.
It wasn't the Leafs, and it won't
And
be
it
the
won't
Leafs.
be.
Oh,
Because they know they don't have to win, so they will never ever win.
oh, they have to win.
Ooh.
They've
They
been
don't.
told. They've been told.
They don't have to win. The
They're
players want to
told
win.
every year.
Some of the players want to win.
Some of the players want to
fans-
win.
Dubas wants to
told-
win.
Every year.
100% he does.
He'll just be fired this year. It's all
Oh,
good.
there's
They-
Hasek. Oh, there's the foot in the
Oh.
crease.
Do you know I was
Foot
at
in the
that game?
crease.
Oh.
So
So
close.
was Doug, my business partner, Doug, right? He was
So
there.
close.
I was at that game in that end when that happened.
Really?
I almost went apoplectic. Like it was just like,
So you
That's
cursed them.
historic.
It's the Dorian curse.
oh.
They haven't won since then either.
Game
But yeah.
7.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly feel
Foot in the
bad for
crease.
you fans because you're never gonna get what you want. Not
No,
you.
I'm going to tell you what happened. The Leafs haven't won since I lived in my old house, but since I go into my new house, I'm the one who cursed them. It's over this year. It's over.
All
And there's
right.
a fact that Maple Leaf fans are so loyal. There's not a single Maple Leafs fan out there that's ever been divorced. That's how loyal we are. That's it's 100%. That's how loyal.
Yeah. Just don't check the stat. That's perfect. Yeah.
Exactly.
You can
I
Google
love how
it.
Leafs fans make up stats.
Fake news. Fake news.
Oh,
It's funny because the Sabres
right.
fan and the Montreal fan are both talking about the Leafs right now. Right, Trevor?
Oh,
You know.
here we go.
You know.
Well,
He
we're
knows.
we're
You
more
started
mocking.
Just because our team's more interesting.
I'd say mocking, not talking, is how I would usually.
Our team's more interesting. That's why.
Mhm.
That's
no.
the favorite thing
So
of people
funny.
out there to watch the Leafs fans lose.
Well, Dorian, thank you so much for coming on and riling up Jeff. It is actually a lot of fun and making Trevor smile for the first time today.
I think ever on the podcast.
Why the first time today and ever on the podcast? Come on now.
Yeah.
I just like that somebody else on the podcast is laying into Leafs fans. And
I
it
think
doesn't
Rookie
have to
kind
be
of
me.
is too. I think Rookie is. Let me
Rookie's a
see if
Leafs
you
fan,
guys
isn't he?
can see that.
Rookie's loving it.
Can you see that? That's shows
I
you
can see it,
Montreal
yeah.
way down there.
Number
Oh, look at
7.
Buffalo. Look at Buffalo. They're very
Hey, but
good
Jeff,
too.
you know what?
Look at
The
that.
cool thing is,
Oh,
is
wait,
that's
wait,
what
wait. Let me
that's
move
what
up
it
a bit.
looks
Wait,
like
wait,
every
wait.
year until the
Wait,
playoffs.
wait.
That's true,
Oh,
Jeff.
there you go. Look.
Wow.
It's first place in the league and that's second place.
Every year till the playoffs, and then as soon as the playoffs start, golf season just looks way too good.
I guess that
It's-
means
it gets
Colorado
warm
will
outside.
win
Wow.
it.
It gets warm outside.
That's why they play the games. That's
Mm.
why they play. We'll have you on after the Stanley Cup parade. Actually, we could do it there. I think we
Hey.
could do it on there you go. Good color.
Oh, okay. Carrie's my new
Good
So
favorite.
Carrie agrees. Carrie agrees right now. She's gonna win. Just let it go. Yep. Hey, there we go. She's gonna win. Carrie's right.
Yep. Anyway, hope to see you guys at the Ice Wine Festival this year.
The Leafs game
And
has
yes.
to be there.
Yes.
Can't wait. We're really looking forward to it. I'm 100% there. Tickets are already purchased in my bag, in my email. Got them. It's perfect.
I can't
Well, you don't get 'em-
guarantee,
yeah,
but I'll
I don't
definitely
get 'em. You
try to
get
get there
email.
for sure.
Is it tokens or is it
No.
tickets?
It's all
It's
inclusive.
easy. Yeah.
You're a
You'll get some
token.
tokens.
I want tokens.
We've got a lot in the basement of the festival office. I'm happy to deliver some to you.
If Jeff comes, you should throw them at him.
Yeah.
Got to push it back to 10 o'clock start so I can see the game first.
PBR.
And yes, and we're gonna
What
have
do
you
you
on
need to
again
see the
because
game
we're gonna
for?
be we're going to be
I'm a fan.
partnering
I
up
watch my team.
again for Canada's largest wine festival, which is the Fall Festival in September.
Mhm.
So we will 100% have you on in a couple of months leading into the summer when we have all that programming ready to go with
Awesome.
Crier Media as well. So it's going to be really good. We're pretty
Can't
pumped.
wait.
We should
Yeah,
all
you
have
guys
a
are
bottle
kind
of
of a
wine while we do
Thank
it.
you so much, Dorian.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you coming on and taking time out of your very busy schedule as you're a couple weeks away from this very major event. So really
Your ball
appreciate it.
busting was excellent.
Hey, it's
was
been
amazing.
a lot of fun, guys.
Top-notch.
Anytime.
Spot
Thanks
on.
a million.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you
great,
very
great to be with you guys. Thanks so much.
Nice meeting you.
Take care.
Oh,
Bye.
here's my wife right there. Yes, for Ice Wine Festival. Cannot wait. Okay, good. Well, she's not. Usually she chirps.
How about, yeah, I was going to say, how about cheering on
Just
the
you.
mocking of Kristen?
Nah, no need. She knows I'm a diehard. She probably will still chirp big time.
Now that you said that.
100%.
Much appreciated.
All right. Thanks very much, Dorian. We really appreciate it. And we'll definitely have you on in a couple months again just to promote the where's Brandon today? Is he actually? Oh my God, here we go. Okay. Perfect. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, son. That's awesome. All right.
Love supportive wives. Hey, they're
Later.
great.
Yeah, they're great. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks so
All right.
much. It's been great
Thanks,
to be with you.
Dorian.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, she's awesome. That
Yeah.
That
She kind of
busting
sold me
was
on that
really
whole
good.
festival, the way she kind of
Explained it, eh?
framed it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
a whole
gonna be
nice
killer.
event.
It's gonna be a killer for sure. So yeah, anyone that's listening and this will be our first major podcast event for the Professional Insights podcast. That some of us will be able to go based on our schedules. So
Leafs game, I can make it.
and definitely
I was trying to figure out why
Big game.
on my calendar, I literally just had ICE written. And I'm like, I'm thinking to myself the other day, I'm looking at January. I'm like, what the hell does ICE mean?
Did we rent the ice?
I guess I just didn't finish the thought as I was typing it in. It was maybe a text or whatever conversation. I'm typing it in. I put the word ICE in and that's it.
We're gonna do a quick wrap up
Well,
then before we take off.
We're gonna do a
or
quick
any
wrap up.
questions?
Yeah, we will do a quick wrap up. But the big thing right now, obviously, it is when we're going live today. It's December 16th. 1 week
Just
and
had
a
our
bit from
7th
Christmas.
interest raise.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Hanukkah,
Happy
whatever you
Hanukkah.
celebrate.
Bank of Canada gave us a nice little present just before Christmas.
They
too, eh?
did.
Wasn't that nice? Wasn't that nice of them?
Yep. Yeah. So they screwed up, and we all get punished. That's amazing. So yeah, it's I'm starting to definitely see the pain points, just even myself. You know what I mean? Like, it's if you're, making $50,000 to $70,000 a year, like it's really crunching the middle class right now.
Yeah.
The
In all
costs.
honesty,
And
though,
the
Trevor,
crazy
go
part is
ahead.
it's you're saying it's driving the prices down of the houses, but that monthly payment is no different than when they was really high. It's crazy.
Right.
Not
It's all
doing
going to
anything.
interest. It's all going to
One-
interest.
Going to Bank of Canada. 4%.
well, no, let's just be clear. When you're in a variable rate or an adjustable rate mortgage, you're not actually paying the Bank of Canada.
No.
You're paying the
right?
lender.
So,
Right.
yeah.
So the banks.
So
the
the lend, yeah.
banks-
So basically, Trev, it's the overnight lending rate, right? Plus 2.25 is prime, right? Or
Yeah,
2.21,
that's bank prime right now.
like you said, right? So
225. Yeah. What?
It's
why
got to
do
be
I feel
close
like
to
Canada-
6, eh?
What's
Yeah,
it
it's
for?
6.25, isn't it?
2.2.
6 and
Isn't
a
it?
quarter.
Wow, I can't believe it's been so long since I've ever had that as part of the conversation. So right now, it's 4.25 is the overnight lending rate from the Bank of Canada, 6.45. So there's 220 basis points, 2.2%.
So what's the stress
difference
test
between-
now? Qualifying it?
The stress test qualifier is contract plus 2. It's the greater of 5.25, 5.25%, or the contract rate plus 2%. Unfortunately, all interest rates, regardless of what term you select now, is higher than 3.25%. So the qualifying rate is higher than 5.25. Most qualifying rates right now are hovering in the 7s. Hate to say it. Qualifying rate as high as I think 7.89 7.89%. So
That's
yesterday,
insane.
OSFI, Office of the Superintendent of Financial Institutions, on December 15th, has come out and said that they are not going to do anything to change the stress test qualifying rate. It's not,
see, if you look at that, if they say, yeah, we're going to change it, but we'll do it in March, then who the hell's going to buy? So if they're going to do it, they're just going to pull the Band-Aid off real quick, right?
no way.
We're gonna.
No way.
No?
No, they won't. No, if they were going to do it, there would be a lead up to it. And I'll explain why I make that statement in a second. OSFI the reason for them saying they're not going to change the overnight lending rate, or excuse me, the stress test qualifying rate, is because it is not a tool to help stimulate the housing market. That's basically what they're on record saying.
But it was a
That's
tool
why
that if the interest rates raised, that they protect them, and they have risen, and they've done their job.
In, I believe it was December 2019, and this is why I say that it doesn't matter. They wouldn't just change it overnight. I believe it was December 2019 because they usually make their announcements in December of every calendar year, whether or not there's going to be any changes coming to the business. And at that time, they announced that in April of 2020, that they were going to reduce the stress test to a more basically they were standardizing it, right? Because there was two different rules between a conventional mortgage and an insured mortgage. So the idea in December 2019 was standardizing the stress test, coming into effect April 2020. Yes, it would have made it a little bit easier to qualify, to be clear. COVID happens, world locks down March. OSFI says, pause for the cause. We're not going to be doing anything for the foreseeable future. And then by, I don't know, July, maybe August of 2020, they're like, okay, done. They got rid of the change. They're like, nope, it's suspended permanently. We're not going to make any changes.
So you still got the two qualifying systems then?
Correct.
Okay.
But technically, because interest rates are so high, there is no longer two qualifying systems. It's only one. It's contract plus 2% because the rates exceeded the 5.25%.
Okay.
Hi, Mel.
Hey, Mel.
What's up? Yeah. So
Yeah,
I
no.
mean, it's.
Yeah, no, it's
Are we to look at this now then, and is it suggesting that the world or us Canadians, Ontarians, can anticipate interest rates to get to that point?
I'm sorry. What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, the stress test was introduced because interest rates were, they thought, low, and they wanted to create a pocket, right? Where that if the interest rate, a buffer, right? Like, so maintaining the stress test in its current form, in my head, tells me that they still believe that there's a buffer that they need to protect or preserve or create, which is concerning.
it is very concerning.
I don't think that that's their logic behind it. I think their logic very much is if they stimulate the housing market by making it easier to qualify for a mortgage, then more people are going to be out there and able to buy. More people are out there and able to buy. What's going to happen? Inflation's going to kind of continue on the path that it is rather than contracting. Right.
Well,
so
new home builds specifically definitely have a massive impact on inflation because more people that want to build, your lumber goes up, your roof, your shingles, all that, if you've ever, even when you just buy a new home, all the furniture you have to buy, it has a massive impact, a positive impact on the economy. But I guess to your point, Trevor, you're right. If that is a huge driver of inflation in most provincial numbers. And when you strip out housing and new housing starts, inflation's not usually all that hot. But now that would exacerbate the problem. But I think the point that we're all making is that this was the Bank of Canada specifically, and federal and provincial governments around the world, and ours, were asleep at the wheel. And economists were saying, hey, listen, you should start raising rates. You should stop printing money at the bare minimum. They kept on going. They kept on doing it because it got them votes and it got them elected. And then the next thing you know, we have what we have on our hands right now. If
Now they're
you look at
forcing
countries
recession.
like, well, if you look at, she just got Mel just got a metal roof.
Nice.
If you look at, for example, things like, if you look at Japan and you look at, some of the countries in Scandinavia, their inflation's not as high as ours. It's 3.5%, 4.5%. It's still higher than what central banks want. It's but it's because they stopped printing money. There's a direct positive correlation between the printing of money and inflation. It's been looked at multiple times by a couple of renowned economists. If anyone's out there listening, a great podcast to watch. Trevor, you and I were talking about it. You watched it. You posted it. I posted it. It's John Stewart interviewing Steve Hanke. He's a renowned world-renowned economist. Has done many studies on this.
Teaches at Johns Hopkins University in the States.
Correct.
Yep.
So smart man. But I have I always say, they basically say, like, history doesn't repeat itself, but it certainly does rhyme. And, I came across this video. Rookie just found the video of Ronald Reagan speaking in 79, 80, in and around there, to a packed place when he was, either running for president or was already president. And speaking about inflation, Rookie, if we're able to just show that short clip.
He has found it necessary to find a reason for inflation. He blamed OPEC. Then he blamed the Federal Reserve System once, not too long ago. And then he blamed the American people, said that we were suffering from a malaise and we weren't productive enough. And then he took another crack at the American people and said that we had inflation because you and I were living too well. Well, you and I living too well is not the cause of inflation. We have inflation because government is living too well.
And,
That's
to
awesome.
that point,
That's awesome.
it's
And
the
sorry,
truth.
when was that video from? When was that recorded?
Oh, God, in
right
the
before the
80s?
huge recession.
Well, so
In the middle.
he became the 40th president of the United States on January 20th, 1981. That was when he came to office.
So just before that, that's got to
Right.
be his election campaign, right?
In the
Yeah,
80s.
and
was
then
the
that's why I'm
80s,
asking the
right?
question. That's why I was asking the
Yeah,
question
and-
if he
and-
was. So obviously he would have already been the Republican
Candidate.
Republican nominee, for
Yeah.
for the party, right? So
For the party. So that
Yeah.
would have been Jimmy Carter was in at that stage.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, what we're saying here is to politicians, to governments, to the Bank of Canada, the people of Canada, the people, the middle class, the people who are struggling. We didn't do anything wrong. You were asleep at the wheel with the economy. Some great economists were telling you to really change your monetary policy, really watch your fiscal policy, really watch your spending. And you let it get out of control, and then world events happened, like
and
Russia
it's
invading
okay
Ukraine.
though, right? Like the world events, COVID, everything is okay, but it's just how they
handle
how they handled it. They rushed the money supply out, and recently, as we all know, they've now talked what is it, $4.6 billion in overspending from COVID by the Canadian government. And another statistic that I found out that I mentioned to Curry was the Canadian government right now is, and this is scary to think, the Canadian government has over $1 billion in COVID vaccines in storage right now.
They're going to expire.
We don't
they'll
need them
they'll
anymore. We
expire.
can't sell them. Like I understand that they made an effort to try and get as much supply so that we could be the most vaccinated country in the world and we could get our lives back to normal. But the fact that we have, in this case, almost $6 billion of federal government mismanagement, misspending, that we can't do anything with, and good luck collecting it. The CRA collecting some of that 4.6 billion back. We can't do anything with the billion plus in COVID vaccines that are sitting there. But the Bank of Canada, the Bank of Canada, the only thing they can really do
Chad's
is
angry.
100%, right? The only thing the Bank of Canada can really do to help inflation is adjust the overnight lending rate. But when us as consumers aren't the cause of it, why are we the ones feeling the pain point? Our central bank has raised the overnight lending rate by 400 basis points this year.
Never done before, right?
Never done.
Fuck. Fudge.
Never in history.
And don't they say it's 12 to 18 months to see the results of the changes they
Minimum.
made? And
A bare minimum is 3 to 4 quarters in order for us to feel the change. Minimum. It's actually 6 to 8 quarters, which is 18 to 24 months.
People can tread water, right? People can tread water for a while.
well,
Sure they can.
And right now it's starting. And for the record, for people that are watching and like, we agreed with Serb at the time. You can go back and to all of our previous podcasts. Like I I deal with people's money all the time, and I said, I went on record, I'm like, yeah, it should, but the problem is they didn't connect it to anything. So most economists said at the time when COVID hit and we had a lockdown, anywhere from 10 to 20% of GDP should have been set aside in order to deploy. All right, well, our GDP in American dollars in 2019 was around 1.8 trillion US. It's about 2.2 trillion ish in that time in Canadian dollars. So in Canadian dollars, at 20%, you're looking at 440 billion is what the max should have been from a spending perspective. And we're way over that. Like it's not. I mean, we did that in 1 year. It's the U.S., according to Steve Hanke, increased the money supply by 41% over 2.5 years, and which equates to a yearly compounding of 15% of the money supply through 70 years of research, of historical research. And a couple of those years, money supply to inflation equaled 1-for-1. They kind of know that if you increase inflation by 1%, increase the money supply by 1%, you increase inflation by around 50 basis points. And therefore, if you increase the money supply in the U.S. specifically by 15% a year, what's their inflation at right now? In and around 6.5% to 7%, so almost 50%. So it makes sense. This directly correlates. To Mel's point, people on disability didn't get a dime of it. Well, that's the other thing that ticks us off. It wasn't targeted properly. A 16, 17, and 18-year-old should not be getting $2,000 a month to live at home in their person's basement. Conversely, we had people who worked at the casino here in Niagara, at the Niagara Casino, who are used to making $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 a year, usually a double income family, both working at the casino. And they were then relegated because the casino was closed. They were relegated to serve at $2,000 a month. Well, you had people turning in cars, you had people walking away from mortgages, rental properties. Like, it was bad. And like, that's my point with it not being targeted. Like, there should have been a metric, and it wasn't. And that's the biggest problem. And then what did people do? I mean, I anecdotally, of course, I know of a guy that lives out in BC. He had a rental property, and the person that lived in the rental property applied for CERB and got it. According to the landlord, he didn't need it, but he got it. And he goes, the Amazon packages that kept coming to the door weekly, and in some cases daily, he goes, it was disgusting. He just spent it all. Has nothing to show for it. So
And I'm sure he's not the only one, right? Like,
And I think she's got another point there too, Mel, talking about corporate greed. That's out there right now too.
yeah,
Greedflation.
corporate greed is
We've
definitely
talked about the greedflation that's going down for sure. Right?
100%.
It's in the build industry right now, big time.
Yeah.
Massively.
Yeah, on the labor side
Massively.
of things, right?
On the labor side.
Labor side, somewhat for sure, and that's getting adjusted because as the demand for their jobs is gone now, they're calling now looking for work, right?
Materials.
But the materials still are sky high.
Yeah.
And it's because they know other materials in the build game are high, so they're just inflating it because everyone else is doing it, right?
Yeah.
It gets crazy. Like
Yeah.
the builders cannot drop their prices on the house right now because the materials are so high. They're sky high to make it still. Lumber's come down, but trusses haven't because they're engineered and they're in such demand, the trusses. So you're backed up to get trusses and those remain high. Concrete is high. Lumber's down. But wires,
We have a builder.
windows are up. Everything.
We have a client that's buying off a builder that just gave him notice, or is trying to give him notice that, well, we can't deliver till 2026 now.
Yeah, because they're pushing back. And I don't know what Tarion will do for it because if they sign a contract,
Well,
I think that person,
right?
that person can walk after 1 year after their closing date was supposed to be. If it's not closed, they can walk or they can hang on to it if they want to, if they choose. But then they won't get to 2026, right?
That's why it's with us. We got to take a look at the critical dates and stuff, right? And see what the
critical dates on that states that 1 year after extension, they don't do it. They
correct
can walk
after the lengthy extension, but then there was a COVID extension that was permitted, right? That gave a little bit further extension. Now, what do you guys think about what did we complain about before the pandemic, right? And the housing market. Do you remember what the biggest complaint was?
Before the pandemic?
Yeah, right. Wasn't it how
I don't even remember before pandemic.
how people couldn't afford getting into the market, right? How the new
I guess it was starting. It was starting right about then. Yeah, that's when we were starting to talk, and then it skyrocketed, right?
Now, how in the hell, on the basis of this stress test, will any of these young kids be able to qualify for?
Mom and dad need to pull equity to down payment. That's it.
They're not. Yeah.
So what happened?
What
happened to that? What happened to that kind of initiative where we want to try to help people get into the market?
That must be if they were buying a $700,000 house before, they shouldn't be buying a $700,000 house first time buyer. But if they were, now that house is worth $500 or $525, and their monthly payments are the same or more still. There's no difference. So the price dropped on the house values, but their monthly payments are higher or very close. So there's no difference at all for them at all.
Yeah, Mel's got some great quotes. I mean, like you're right, Mel. Groceries. I mean, a family of four here, we can't get
it depends on the size of the family, but yeah, for groceries,
even a single person, you can't get groceries under $100. There's no way.
Chunky soup the other day. Everyone's got the sniffles and all that. Usually a can, $2.99, $4.99 now.
Yeah,
$4.99
for one can of soup.
My weekly grocery bill this week was $130. Family of four. Right. Mind you, last week was probably 180. Like I remember last week being closer to 2. And so I get it, but I just mean like that's a family of four, maybe with
we must be slobs because I think we spend $250 a week.
I think we spend 130 every 3 days. Jeez, it's crazy.
All depends, right?
But anyway, we should we're on a time crunch here. But everyone that's listening, and Mel, thank you for always participating and watching the show. We really appreciate it. 100%. Carrie, thanks for chiming in and with your points. We loved it. Dorian,
Kristen, we really appreciate you chiming in as well.
Jesus.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
You know what? I think before we ended, though, I don't think we should end with such doom and gloom, though. As far as the market's going,
yes,
I do believe the interest rates might start to adjust by the end of next year. So we might have another raise in January, like a very small one.
Q3.
It should kind of settle in. There's a lot of looking. The interesting part about the market, especially in Niagara, there's so many people that own houses in Niagara that have zero mortgage at all. There's a ton of empty nesters out there with zero mortgage. So it's not affecting them whatsoever. but they're still downsizing, right? So they want to sell off their house and they want to get a different, smaller townhouse, semi, bungalow, stuff like that, right? So the market's still moving out there, but like I think the interest rates are gonna probably come down due to a lack of business sometime next year. We'll see what happens. I think February, March might be a busy time of year too. I think the next month is going to be a slog though. Like the next during Christmas and all that, it's going to be a slog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you want to talk about it like that, right now, since October, the bond market has been softening. Bond yields are dropping since October. The reason the bond market is softening right now is because of the likelihood that the Bank of Canada can continue to sustain, even though it's different, even though the overnight lending rate is different than the bond market, they don't believe that the Bank of Canada can continue to sustain what they have created, this monster. And that's why the bond market is starting to decrease. And there's a high likelihood that whether they want to admit, if the Bank of Canada does decrease rates in 2023, I don't think they're going to, but because that would be a sign that they failed.
Didn't they just cash out a bunch of bonds?
No, they
Or they're talking about it.
that's so a lot of people may have recently heard that for the first time in history, the Bank of Canada has
quarter?
announced
On
a
paper.
loss, but it's a paper
On
loss.
paper.
Right
Yeah.
now, it's an accounting loss. It's not actually a loss until they go and sell. And what the Bank of Canada is just doing is they're holding those bonds, they're holding those notes until they can recover.
So all they're saying is, look, you guys are losing money, we're losing money too, so it's not that bad. It's bad for you, it's bad for us. Blah blah blah. But it's
I'm
okay.
sorry,
for
but
them.
that's not
It's
an
a
acceptable
It's a
Go away.
bullshit. It's a bullshit.
That's not an acceptable response for the government. Well, we're losing money, so it's okay that you guys are losing money too. That's horseshit. Pardon my language, but
It's a different
You're
system of
pardoned.
government.
yeah, like that's
Brandon, fixed income's got to be, you got to be looking.
We're starting
maybe
to, yeah, they're starting to make some good moves in fixed income. We're starting to see those funds and those portfolios starting to turn around, which is really good because they were hurting for a very, very long time. But to Trevor's point, it's because the yield keeps increasing. So when interest rates increase, bond yields increase, bond prices decrease. They have an inverse relationship.
Yep.
yeah.
So
So the yield is
why.
dropping right now, right? It's inverting going.
Well,
the other
because they
direction.
think supply is going to start to flood the market. So when supply floods the market of bonds that are for sale, they're like, well,
Supply
yield has to
demand.
drop. Like it's
Supply
supply and
demand,
demand,
right?
right? That's why
Yeah.
it's quantitative. Now they're doing quantitative tightening versus quantitative easing. But anyways, Mel, we love you too. Thank you so much again for always participating. We really appreciate it. Bondo,
St. Lich.
St. Glitch, Brand Boulevard. Thank you very
And
much.
Also, just so that the listeners, viewers all know that the next one is going to be on the 30th of December, but it is a best of, right? We're all of us are packing up our offices
Won't
It's
be
just us.
live.
today. Who's
It's
packing
just
up
us.
today?
It's just us busting Trevor's balls for an hour straight.
Pretty
on
much
the
for a
best
straight
of.
hour.
I wouldn't
Just
be
talking about
surprised
RV, that's it.
I really
We
wouldn't be
instructed
surprised
Rookie to do that.
if that's the best.
No
of.
Leafs talk at all. That's negative.
Rookie, please, some Leafs busting, please, please, please.
All right, Bondo, take us out.
Help us help you stay informed.
Go Leafs.
Bye, everybody.
Out.